Welcome to the SPE Podcast, powered by the Society of Petroleum Engineers. You're listening to the SPE Live Technical Director Series, Drilling Operations and Progress within HSES. Can we do better? The audio from this episode was previously recorded on March 1st, 2023. And now your moderator, David Reed.
Hello and welcome to SPE Live. Today's show is Drilling Operations and Progress within HSES. Can we do better? So I'm looking forward to that. My name is David Reed. I'm the Chief Technology Officer and Chief Marketing Officer for NOV, and I'll be your moderator today. Today's SPE Live will last 30 minutes, so there will be encouraging people to put questions in, and so we can respond to that during the show. Okay, it's now my pleasure to introduce our guests. First up, we have Sue Staley, and she is the SPE Technical Director for Health and Safety, Environment and Sustainability. She is the Sustainability Director for VPSI Group, LLC, where she leads the company's sustainability practice. Prior to joining VPSI, she was the General Manager of Soil and Groundwater Technology at Shell. She's had various positions within Shell during her 18-year tenure. She's been an environmental and safety engineer for 30 years, and Sue holds a master's degree in engineering environment emphasis from Purdue University and a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering from the University of Minnesota. Our next guest is also Robin McMillan, who's the SPE Drilling Technical Director and the Chief Sales Officer at Data Gumbo. He's worked in drilling both offshore and onshore in Mexico, Venezuela, UK, Spain, Norway, Congo, Gabon, Syria, Libya, Canada, and the USA. Robin has several technical publications, served on program committees from various IEDC and SPE conference, and is both Vice Chair and Membership Chair of the SPE Drilling Systems Automation Technical Section. He holds a geology degree from Leeds University in the UK and a further education teaching certificate. So Sue and Robin, welcome to SPE Live.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. It's good to have you here. So let's start with Sue. So what is happening in the HSES world?
Well, actually, a lot is happening in the HSES world, and it's my pleasure to talk to you about it. First of all, there's two technical sections within HSES. We have the Human Factors Technical Section and the Sustainable Development Technical Section. But in addition, there are cross-discipline technical sections that HSES professionals get involved with, like the methane emissions technical section, water life cycle and strategy, and even data science and engineering analytics. But our two technical sections are very active. So in the human factors section, something that was just recently completed was a collaboration with the IOGP on developing new guidance on learning from normal work. There's an SPE Live on that, so you can go out and check that out. And this community is very active in working with other disciplines on human factors issues. They've just completed their vision, and they want to be the go-to team when somebody's thinking about human factors within our industry. And so here's a plug for all of you human factors folks. They're looking for specialists to join the technical section to help share their expertise and become that and to fulfill the vision that they've set for themselves. And in the Sustainable Development Technical Section, again, it's very active. You've probably heard of some of the events under the Gaia brand. We have a very active LinkedIn community as well. There's 1,500 members in the LinkedIn community devoted to talking about sustainability and those issues within SPE. Well, this month, it's March 1st today. So in 2 weeks, there's going to be a summit, a Gaia summit in Oman. It looks like it's going to be a very exciting summit. It's 2 days, the 15th and the 16th. We're also planning for an energy transition summit. This is not hosted by Gaia, but we are part of the team that's putting that together. That will be held in August. And then we're also planning some great sessions and a Gaia dinner at ATCE. This is a wonderful community to be a part of, and I invite everybody who has any interest in sustainable development to join that technical section. Back to you, David.
Yeah, thanks. That's exciting stuff. I think Gaia is fascinating as well. There's a lot of fun things going on there. So that's great.
Absolutely.
So Yeah. Robin, I'm not going to ask you what's going on in drilling. You were ready, but I'm not going to. I wanted to ask you something related to safety in the drilling space. How is drilling doing on the safety side?
Well, that's a good question. As you will know, there's been a lot of focus on drilling. In fact, all stakeholders in drilling, so many operators, contractors, service companies, OEMs, have had safety at the top of the priority list for many years. And part of the reason, I think, for some of the success is the industry collaboration. I think it's well recognized that this isn't an area where we want to compete. It's actually an area where we want to collaborate and help each other.
Yeah.
And to that end, the IDC, which is might have to pull me up on a few acronyms, International Association of Drilling Contractors, has for many years, in fact, since the 60s, put together the incident, what do they call it, ISP, Incident Statistics Program. That shows, this is where all the contractors put their data in. There's over 70 companies now that are doing that. And this means that everybody has the chance to go look at that data and see how their own performance compares with everybody else. And the way they present that data is in a form which is where you can really analyze what's going on. So, for example, it'll be split by, for example, an incident. Where was it on the rig? Who was it? What was the position of that person? What was their age, for example? What was their seniority, etc. So it makes it very simple to go in there and find out exactly what's going on. And if you look at that data, and I say it's been going since the 60s, both the LTI and the recordable rates have come down by huge numbers. In fact, from the very beginning, they're down 99%. Of course, as soon as you say that, you say, well, what about the remaining 1%? And therein lies the challenge. We can never take our eye off this ball. And I think some of what Sue was just talking about with regard to human factors will work into how do we aim for exact zero as soon as possible.
Yeah, it's a great. I know the industry's done really well compared to other industries, but I like that we don't accept where we are and accept any injury or hurts in the workplace. So I think that's a really good culture that has evolved. So thanks for that, Robin. So Sue, collaboration with the drilling world, where is there opportunity there in your mind?
Well, I think there's several ripe areas of opportunity. The first is human factors. I mean, that comes up. And
can you introduce human factors? Just I know we're used to it, but for those who haven't heard that as a buzzword, what does human factors mean?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm not a human factors person, but I'll give it my best shot. Human factors is taking it's taking into consideration how humans interact in the systems that they're working in. And so designing systems with that in mind, so that we're trying to design systems that are safer for humans to operate within. Yeah. And so when we think about drilling, there are a lot of opportunities for injury. And so the more that we can think about how to remove humans possibly from as much of the mechanical work as possible, how do we design so that the injuries that we've known and seen in the past, we can try to design those out of the systems. So that's one. On the personal safety front, we've made a lot of progress in the industry, but we can do more. And I think that's another area of opportunity. If people aren't aware, a few years ago, the SPE put together a report on getting to zero. It's an excellent report on things that we can do within the industry to help reduce and get to zero. And also, tied in with that is the work on collaboration for culture. So what kind of cultures are we expecting and tolerating might be another word. So those are three that come to mind for me. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think collaboration outside is another area, bringing in others. I know we've learned that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, we do that. Absolutely. We do that.
So there's a ton. You're in DSATs, Robin. So the automation world has been, I want to say galloping ahead, but there's lots to go in the development of fully automated systems or people being off of rigs. How's that working for safety?
Well, it is very clearly, as Sue said, getting people out of the way, getting people off the rig away from some of the big equipment. It's clearly going to have a benefit. But actually, automation provides its own challenges. I heard recently someone call this the automation conundrum, because particularly with related to human factors, the more a system is automated, if it's not completely autonomous and you want some interaction between the human and the system, then the more automation there is, to some degree, in theory, the less connected the human can feel to the system, and therefore maybe less able to intervene when something is required. So the more automation we have, the more we have to think about what are the ergonomics of the situation. How do you manage the user interface so that, in this case, the driller feels completely connected? And in fact, you talked there about other industries. I seem to recall a while ago that we were learning something. We used to invite people from the airline industry to come and speak, and there was a contrast between, I believe it was the two major airline providers. Both had automated systems, but in one, the manual equipment was still in place. So for example, the automated system moved the joystick, you could see it move, and therefore you still felt connected to the system. And I think it's those sort of ergonomic issues that we need to consider when we're looking at how do we maintain connection between the human and the loop.
So you're anticipating more haptics and like vibrations or noise? Is it something that's been
possibly discussed? Certainly, and I think a lot of visualization. For example, I know that there's autonomous. I think that Norse at Ulrig in Norway are experimenting with an autonomous drilling system, whereby there are sensors in the well that are checking what's happening in the well, and the system is responding automatically to that. I think if you're the human in that loop, you would want to be able to see what the sensors are seeing. Can you look down hole and see, okay, if this system has, for example, detected a pack off, where is that and what is the system doing about it, and where's the visualization that allows myself as the driller to see what's going on? So I think those sort of interfaces are going to be necessary to allow the human in the loop to stay connected.
Yeah, that's interesting. I imagine all of this stuff going on. I hadn't really thought of it this way, so that's a great insight that we're actually, yes, things look like they could be better with more people out of the loop, but actually there's new challenges for us to think about, which I'm sure Sue kind of pulls your teeth and going, well, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
This is great, but what are we going to do when things go wrong? Which leads me to probably the biggest case we have of critical systems, which is kind of well control as a system. And I know we've been kind of in MPD world, which brings a lot more control into the systems, some automation. But where are we as it comes to moving towards a more automated well control system? Robin? Yeah,
thanks. So we are moving in that direction. And I think I once placed this question myself at a conference, and it was responded to by someone from an operator who said that with some automated systems, you can have them so that if they go wrong, that's fine. You can jump in and you can, for example, move the pipe yourself if you're the driller. But if you were going to automate well control, you'd better make sure that this thing works from day one in a perfect manner. So I think that's one reason why we haven't gone as fast in that direction. But certainly now we do have the sensors available, we do have managed pressure drilling available. And I think what we get back to is, again, how do we maintain the connection between whoever's the human in the loop and the system? And I think that we come there back to maybe that we need simulation. Again, if I use the airline industry as an analogy, ideally, if the worst case scenario happens, it's not a surprise because in this case, the pilot will have been on an automated system where they have been asked to deal with that situation. And I think the same applies here, that we need to have probably training on simulators. And I know, for example, OEMs have a lot of simulation systems where they can test and use new equipment. And I think the same applies here, whereby we put folks on a simulator, and then we do simulate the worst case scenario. So once again, if you find yourself as a human in the loop and that happens, then you know how to respond. So I think technology, it does exist. I've always felt that we should perhaps be moving faster in that direction. But as I say, I think that the human factors, again, plays a big part in making sure we get it right.
That really opens up this whole area to understanding, because I think people see, and I've seen it for years, lots of automated systems out there, lots of promises of great things. But we're moving towards the technology for sure. We're seeing it more and more in all sorts of applications. But I wonder what would help us to go faster. And it sounds like this disconnect potential is part of it. But what do you think about how do we move faster into drilling operations being more automated? Maybe it's the wrong answer. Maybe we shouldn't. Maybe I'm assuming faster.
I think we should. In fact, I think now we need to, various companies, OEMs, service companies, and rig companies have now developed systems, for example, on the rig floor, where they can retroactively fit automated pipe handling systems. And when you look at the data I referred to earlier with regard to where do injuries take place on the rig, or where are potential incidents on the rig, most of them, I think almost 50%, maybe a bit more, are between the floor hands and the roustabouts, and that the rig floor is predominantly the area, and pipe handling is predominantly the area where the risks are. So, but we do now have systems whereby, as I say, we can remotely add robotics to rig floors, and I think retrofit is key, because clearly there's an expense here, and if it requires a brand new rig, then the uptake is going to be a lot slower. But now that we have retrofittable systems, I think it behooves us in the industry to take full advantage of those. These have been invested in, as I say, by at least 2 or 3 companies that we could think of, and therefore we should take that up, and we should start to, I think, insist on the fact that there are more automated systems on rig floors, and we do get people out of those red zones, which we know through the statistics are the most dangerous areas.
Yeah, that's good. And I know I'm seeing these robotic systems where, more like car manufacturing, where they're actually picking up all the tasks of the humans, which leads me to kind of the way we've been going here, which says we're very focused on injury on the floor hands and pipe decks and all that stuff. But are we moving towards a higher risk where we're going to be using automated systems with the full drilling process, and so are we looking at the potential for incidents? So what are your thoughts on all this?
I think that as we see more automation, we're going to definitely be learning from it, and I think that this is an area for this new learning from normal work to help us understand what's happening in these systems. And then if we can get that information shared across the industry, like through SPE, that would be great. And for those companies that are making these investments, I encourage them to, as they're bidding on projects, make this known so that they can use that as a competitive advantage.
That's good. Well, we do have a question in from online, so I'm gonna give you one of those to respond to. So this is from Maxine Aikenhead on LinkedIn. So please do send questions to us. Helps us focus on the things you're interested in. How do you recommend tracking your supply chain's human factors and due diligence for accountability and reporting purposes?
I'll take a stab at that one first. I think one way to help that is if you have, as you're vetting your supply chain, making sure that that's part of your requirements, that you want to see that. That's the first step, because then they'll have to provide you information to demonstrate that they actually are considering it. If they have any reporting data, you can ask for it. They may not have any, but if they do, it's certainly something to ask for.
That's good. Robin, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. And if they don't, then we should ask why not.
Yeah.
I think that you can, if you like, filter your supply chain by those people that do have those sort of systems in place.
Yeah, it seems like it's the new question. Like we need to be asking this, because like I say, we've been focused on safety on the floor, but human factors. It's I would say it's an evolving expertise that we need to grow. So that makes sense. Yeah. Here's another one from Naid Said. How human factors are integrated into the risk management process, and how it's measured to gauge the performance and improvement. How is that deployed, basically?
So this is out of my area of expertise. I would invite Naid to join our human factors technical section and, ask this of our technical section and start to learn from them. I wouldn't be able to answer that.
I think you're right, Sue. It's early days, and that's the challenge, So for us as an industry, I think that's probably the message here is there's a shift from an HSES standpoint. We're doing really well. We're moving on. We've been doing all this automation, but probably it's becoming the number one area is human factor, because the systems are changing, and so then the learning is changing. So yeah, that's a good question.
In fact, I think there's a collaboration now, isn't there, between what's HF?
Yes.
Ergonomics, isn't it? Human factors and ergonomics society.
And ergonomics, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there's a collaboration now between the SPE and HFES.
Do you?
There is. There is.
Do you do cross between the drilling organizations and HSES? Do you have joint events, or how does that work? Or should you?
Currently our joint is that Sue is a member of the Drilling Advisory Committee.
Oh, that's good.
And that's why, because we need that sort of input. I think, as we just said, it keeps coming up. Yeah.
It does.
As a challenge. And I think it's another example, actually, of where the technical sections of the SPE overlap. And I'm going to encourage more collaboration with other technical sections.
Yeah. Sue?
Yeah, another collaboration that we've seen in the past is the international HSES conferences that are held every couple of years. The IADC has a drilling track as part of that conference as well. So there is an opportunity when we're developing those conferences to ensure the drilling and the HSES communities are engaged together.
We have a drilling conference next month, I guess. Next week, right, in Stavanger. Is there an HSE part of that, HSES?
There is. I was looking through. There is at least one session called People and Processes.
Yeah. I remember from DSATs in the early days, there was a splinter off where one of the guys who started DSATs went off and went into human factors very quickly. So I think it's recognized that, oh, wait a minute, if we're going down this road, we're going to have some challenges. So that's great. I think that's encouraging for everyone to get involved in this area. If you haven't studied human factors, I know I've seen plenty of speakers at our events from outside the industry, and you learn a lot from them.
Yes.
I actually wonder, because when we've heard the airline guys talking, and you think about guys who fly planes or women who fly in planes, they get rest because of stress. Of course, they're carrying humans, but they're managing their stress in a way that we haven't even really thought about when we're in critical operations. So I just think it's a fascinating area.
It is. And that technical section is doing a lot of work and collaboration externally as well. So it's not just human factors folks within our industry, but we're learning from others as well.
Well, great. So unfortunately, that is the end of our time. So we have more questions. So if anybody wants to connect, then please get involved with our technical sections. I think that's a great way to get involved. There's always things going on. So thanks, Sue and Robin, for your insights. That's been really helpful. Thanks, audience, for your watching as well as giving us questions and for joining us. So we'll see you next time. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the SPE Live Podcast. For more content, visit the SPE Energy Stream, the industry's digital pulse, at streaming.spe.org. If you enjoyed today's show, don't forget to subscribe and review. Join us next time on the SPE Live Podcast.